I want people to normalize and understand that some things that come with becoming and being a parent are normal. Being touched out and overstimulated, that's normal. I thought I was being a bad mom. I'm like, I really don't want her to touch me right now. And once I realized and was able to put more, education with it and understanding to it, I was able to share it and not feel guilty about it.
Welcome to the CCDS Doula Collaboration Podcast, where birth and postpartum professionals come together to learn, grow, and support one another. I'm your host, Melissa Harley, a doula trainer and passionate advocate for the power of birth and postpartum care. This podcast is a space for authentic conversations with doulas and other perinatal professionals, from those just starting out to seasoned experts shaping our field. We'll hear from those in my circles, industry leaders, and community change makers. And I hope that you'll find inspiration, education, connection, and collaboration here. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's get to it. Welcome to the podcast. I am excited to have this conversation with you today around your work and what you've been doing. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about you?
All right. Thank you, Melissa. I do want to thank you first for having me. My name's Keena Armstrong. As you see, I have LMHC behind my name, so I am a licensed mental health counselor here in the state of Florida. I'm a mother of 4. I have 3 biological daughters and 1 stepdaughter, ranging in age from 12 to 11 weeks. So a lot of fun there. I work as a birth doula, and I've done some work as a postpartum doula as well. And I'm a social worker and doing a lot of work with foster parents and children that are part of the child welfare system. I went into this work just based off of a desire to give back. I am a product of the child welfare system as I aged out of foster care from age 11 through 18 and after. So I've been really wanting to give back to that community.
Let's talk about that for just a minute. Do you
Mhm.
feel like that personal experience shapes your work now?
Absolutely. I feel like I went a long time without having the right kind of relationships like that people should have. So I didn't have a quality relationship with my mom. I did have a quality relationship with my maternal grandmother who lived to see 99 years. So that was my best friend and every bit of me. Foster care did kind of like separate us and put a wedge in between that closeness, but it always remained the same. And so I've always wanted to give back. And I kind of got into like wanting to be a doula because I felt like women needed that support. They needed that their person, like if they didn't have a quality support. So I know you've met Raina. So with Raina, I walked into single parenting, and that's my 5-year-old. She'll actually be 6 tomorrow. So this is like a full circle moment for me.
Wow. Raina came to the doula training with
Yep.
you, and
Yep.
she was just a delicious little baby. Oh my gosh. I like to call those babies that come in our little mascots, the
Yep.
ones that are like in arms still. How old do you think she was when she came to training
She
with
was
you?
exactly 8, 7, 6, 5 months.
5 months.
Yep.
And she was just so happy to be there.
Yeah.
She was great, actually. And one of my favorite pictures, I'm going to put it up on the video for
Okay.
everybody, but it's me holding her teaching the training because she was just, like I said, just the sweetest thing. It's funny because I follow you on social media now, and you said about to be 6, and I see her little young child toddler shenanigans. This is going on with Raina, or that's going on with Raina. I'm like, no, not our sweet little baby. She's not
Yes.
giving people a hard time. No way.
Yes, she is my ball of sass. She's my ball of sass. And all my kids have so unique personalities and differences. And it's always fun to talk about it on the
Oh my gosh, I love it because I had just such a soft spot in my heart for her because she was just so sweet at the training. And I remember, and maybe it's because I have older kids and I don't get to cuddle babies that much. So it was nice to have her in that space, but I can't believe she's giving her teachers a hard time. I don't know if I
Yep.
believe you about that.
Literally tomorrow, I'm like, girl, this is a full circle moment because you are a handful. and a half. Two hands full.
I want to talk about kind of, was your social work before your doula work? You were already a social worker, or what was the sequence of events there?
Before I became a doula, I've always worked in mental health. So I worked at AdvCD Center and things like that, and crisis stabilization. And I worked as a scribe for psychiatrists. Getting into child welfare, I kind of worked with them doing targeted case management. And so targeted case management is basically connecting clients to resources within the community to meet their basic human needs. Whereas like mental health therapy and things like that is going to be meeting the mental health side of things, the needs that you have in order to function well on a higher level. So the basic needs are being met by the case manager. So I started doing that, and a lot of my clients were already within dependency system. And so I went over to there. And prior to that, when I did the training to become a doula, I was actually working as a domestic violence and child welfare specialist within the state of Florida, with my main shelters being located in South Florida. So I just always been in that field of work. As long as I can give back to child welfare, I feel like I'll be fulfilled in any capacity. That's going to be the part of my work, is going to always be giving back to child welfare, because again, I was a product of that system, and there are changes that need to be made within it. And what better way to change it than me changing it?
Yeah, be the change you want to see, right? That's
Right.
what Gandhi says. So as I'm thinking about kind of your progression. You were working kind of in this space, and then you became a doula. And then was there some time where you were crossing over and doing both, or what have the last 5 years been like for you?
So I started feet to the ground doing my doula work. I think I did the class, like, let's just say August 24th through the 27th. And my first birth was September 15th. And so I've hit ground running, and I had a couple of in-person births between then and COVID. So I took a break during COVID because I got pregnant with my second born, Amora, in May or June of that year. And I have tilism when I'm pregnant. So tilism is hypersalivation. So you got to carry a cup around and relieve yourself by spitting in it all day. And so that's obviously not hygienic for doing the doula work. So I had to take a break. And when I took that break, I was doing more virtual support and postpartum support. A lot of people were leaning on me for mental health support during that time. So I was still in school during that time, and I graduated in May of 2022. And so when I graduated, you have to do 2 years post licensure. So I had to be supervised by a team for 100 hours worth of time in order to get my license. And then I got my license in 2024.
So I remember seeing that on social media too, and just what an accomplishment that is, because you really have worked hard at it.
Thank you.
What was that? What did that feel like for you finally finishing it?
It felt amazing. And it was another full circle moment for me, because I was pregnant with what I thought would be my last kid and my son, but it ended up being my daughter. But that's great too. So it was December. I was able to end the year. My goal and my vision board said that I would be licensed by the end of this year, and it happened. I think just putting the effort in and just saying it out loud was confirmation and affirmation for me.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I'm a big goal setter. And I think that sometimes people come into school or to doula training or any of those goals. And I think once they leave the initial, especially they'll speak to doula training, if they don't have goals set, then time just passes and life happens. So I always say, would you like to get certified? When would you like that to happen? And then let's work our way back. If it's 6 months, a year, 2 years, but let's set the goal, because if you don't set the goal, you're kind of out there just flapping in the wind. And,
Yes.
it's nice to hear that worked for you to set the goal and complete the goal. So good
Yes.
job.
I was pretty sad because I did the training and I did my births, and I only had very like minute things to do in order to be DONA certified, and I didn't do them in time. And I'm like, oh man. and I'm still going to do the work. I still do the work and I still want to do the work, but I realized that I have to set the goals in order to accomplish them, and then I just set more on top of those
Yeah.
once I'm going forward, because I have even bigger goals that I want to accomplish in this line of work.
Yeah. Well, we might have to talk about if that becomes a goal again for certification, doula certification. We might have to talk about the alternate path because there might be
Okay.
a faster track since you've done most of the work. But it's great that you have finished your licensure. Are you now working as a social worker or as a licensed mental health therapist? What would you call yourself?
So I am a licensed mental health therapist, but I also do social work. Yesterday was my first day back to work after maternity leave. So I walked into a new position, which is awesome. So I am actually going to be licensing and training new foster parents. That's amazing because in 2019, God told me, he was like, go and tell them that you want to work here. And I did that. And so I went in there and I said, I want to work here. I want to train foster parents. And they weren't hiring for training foster parents, but they ended up hiring me in another capacity later. Like, I didn't get the job that day, but I was like, well, God, why did you tell me to come here? And so I get a call back from them. They're like, hey, you interviewed with us in October. We want you on the team. And when I got on the team, I found out that my director of the program was like, you wowed us. We want you. We want people like with the lived experience, with the different things to offer the team. And so I came in and I really like made an impact, I would say, with my foster parents, like me leaving that position before my maternity leave and then coming back into another one where I'm not their direct specialist, supporting them. They're like, can we still call you? I'm like, yes, you can call me. But being able to walk into, have that moment of, it might have been delayed, but it wasn't denied, me wanting to do the training for foster parents, because it starts from the foundation, and I want to be able to give them some insight from a personal perspective as a child of trauma.
Well, you're having a lot of full circle moments because that feels very full circle to me.
Mm-hmm.
In that you have the lived experience and now you're training the next generation of foster parents, which is
Yes.
so impactful, and so meaningful. Like what amazing work. That's pretty
Yes.
cool. Okay, let's talk about going back from maternity leave just for a second, because you mentioned you yesterday was your first day. How was it?
It was good. I hate to say this, but I actually got really bored this time around for maternity leave. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go back to work. So like, I used to have I'm on FMLA, and they're like, my HR is like, you cannot work. It's against the law. But my foster parents will still call me. But I'm like, I'm not your specialist, technically speaking. So I can talk to you. What's up? What's going on? I've spent years curating relationships with them, like, and just supporting them. So they're my babies. So it feels normal and natural to just talk to them, like, as they're processing a hard day or a difficult day, doing the hard work of being a foster parent. Working in this system, period, is hard work. It sometimes is a very thankless job. So it felt good to go back and actually be able to work.
Keena, you realize you're being a doula to those foster parents, right?
Yes. Yes.
How neat is that?
Yes. And
Yeah.
I actually want to kind of incorporate that with my trainings. And like, I had a situation where when I was on maternity leave, there was a baby that came into care that was fresh out the hospital. And that just pricked my heart so much, because I'm like, this foster mom could really benefit from a doula, like a doula hands on, like in there, like, and I really would like that to intersect. Like, I really want to incorporate programs that offer doula services or doulas themselves to come and speak and like let let the foster parents know, like, we are here. We are here, and this is what we can do. We know that you didn't birth them, but this is what we can do for you. Or even to the birthing mom, letting her know that there are doulas here that can support you. Because if we can build the parental capacities, then we can kind of mitigate the need for a removal from the mom. Because I'm like, I Lord, I don't know what I would do in that situation, but my heart would shatter. Like I'm saying, I was bored with my maternity leave, but I'm thankful that my child was home with me. as opposed to being in a foster home or a removed from me. So I'm thankful for it, and I don't take that lightly. But I do think that some wraparound services for birth parents as well as foster parents is definitely essential.
Yeah, I love that vision that you have. There's a place, I think, for some support there. In the past, I've done a little bit of work with, I want to say it was Children's Home Society, one of the organizations, but it was more on the birthing person's side that I came in and gave them some childbirth education and what to expect and those types of things.
Hmm.
So I think you bring a really important part, to that conversation, which is, the person receiving the child also could really benefit from some
Yeah.
of that doula related support. So I get a lot of people that are social workers in my doula training, or they
Okay.
have a social work background. And I think that there are some similarities. How do you see the crossover between your social work training and education, and then also the doula support that we give to clients?
I see it as like sort of like you both of them are rooted in empathy, and just being able to assess and analyze the needs of the client or the person that you're serving. Just having a will to serve, is where they mostly intersect. And I always say people are not going to stop having babies. So some people are not going to stop mistreating their kids. So you're always going to have that revolving door of a need. It's always going to be present. Foster parents are always needed and necessary and essential. So the support is literally not linear, it's circular. And I just feel like because it's so circular that I can just like move through those roles and those hats seamlessly, especially now that I'm licensed. I can do a lot more than I could when I wasn't.
Yeah, how do you see the license with doula clients? Do you see that you applying it differently?
Yes, but I'm thinking about starting a more of a fourth trimester recovery center that focuses on the mental health aspects of parenting and birth, and like it can go into their experiences during the birth. Peri, pre, and postnatal care is what I want to really focus on when it comes to mental health, because I know for me, I didn't become or develop anxiety to this degree until I became a mom. So I'm like, wow, my anxiety is like really bad. Like, I have quality coping skills, but I can acknowledge that I have really bad anxiety and this is why. And I know why, I know what to do, but it's still there. And I try to overshare, as you'll see, like on my social media, I'll overshare. So that way, like people that see you and say, oh, well, she's killing it. She's rocking it. She's doing this and she's doing that. They'll understand, like, yeah, I'm human and this is happening to me. Like, I know what to do to get over it, but I still got really bad anxiety where I'm thinking I'm going to drop my baby if I hold her when I walk outside. I want people to normalize and understand that some things that come with becoming and being a parent are normal. Being touched out and overstimulated, that's normal. I thought I was being a bad mom. I'm like, I really don't want her to touch me right now. And once I realized and was able to put more, education with it and understanding to it, I was able to share it and not feel guilty about it.
I love the idea of normalizing. It shouldn't be a stigma, right? Postpartum mental health. And we call postpartum mood and anxiety disorders PMADs,
Yeah.
and we include anxiety in there because I think it's an understood kind of by the public part of the postpartum mental health concerns, that it's not just postpartum depression that we're worried about. We're also worried about the anxiety piece of it, or it may manifest in different ways for different
Yeah.
people. And I hear a lot of people talk about, oh, postpartum, and they just use that word postpartum to mean all the things mental health wise that can happen postpartum. But really, when we think about, we have baby blues, postpartum
Yeah.
depression, we can move into some more serious postpartum mental health concerns, postpartum psychosis, which can be catastrophic, and then postpartum anxiety. But it can be debilitating.
Crippling, yeah, to the point where you don't want to leave the house, or you don't take the necessary self-care or breaks because you don't know what's going to happen to your child, like it can become a huge problem. And that's where a lot of the times child welfare might come in, become involved because it's not treated or it's not observed, and you don't know, if you're not down and out and sad and depressed, you're not really getting help the way that you should.
Yeah, there's one view or one vision of what it looks like when you need to
Yeah.
get help, but then these other things are happening and no one's saying, "Oh, you need to go get some help and see
Yeah.
somebody." And just for the numbers' sake, let's just tell the viewers, 1 in 7 women experience postpartum depression. 1 in 4 Black women experience postpartum depression, and we have all of the other mental health kind of mood and anxiety disorders that are also wrapped up in there too. So this is it's a pretty real number. I mean,
Yeah.
I can think of 7 people or 4 people, and immediately, and just to know that that many folks are going through these mental health concerns post baby is something we should have our eyes wide open on, I think.
Yeah. And then there's stats. The more children you have doesn't mean that you're not going to experience it for yourself too. You might not be one in 4 women. It might be your third pregnancy. So just keeping them in the know that the resources available and here for them
Right.
is important to me.
And I think that, doulas do a nice job of building trust with clients, especially I speak to birth doulas because that's what I am and what I
Mhm.
train. But, we build that trust and that relationship in prenatally.
Yeah.
And then whenever they're postpartum, doulas might be the one that they reach out to. And
Yeah.
they're the ones that they trust where the doulas can help them get into a social worker or a mental health therapist or, a medical clinical care provider. I think doulas can sometimes encourage that. So do you think there's a place for a relationship between local doulas and their local
Yeah,
social?
hoping so. Like I'm trying to build a connection list, and someone already did it for me, so I was like, "Thank you, girl." So I just letting them know, like, "Hey, there's different screening tools. If they want to reach out to me, they can. I'm open. I'm ready. I'm willing to serve and provide the care." And even my own clients, I always offer them services as well because I can do both.
And if we know who to go to, we level up. We level
Yep.
up to someone with a little bit more expertise in the area. If we can have those names ready on the list whenever something yellow flag presents, it's a really good opportunity to say, you know what, I
Yeah.
have this colleague or I know this person. Do you offer virtual support
Yep.
services?
I do services inside of Florida virtually, and Tallahassee, Gadsden, and Wakulla counties locally.
Okay. So the person needs to be a resident of Florida is that because of your licensure?
Yep, they have to be in Florida. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a really interesting, I think, little branch off of your services. I'm excited to hear about that. And I think other doulas need to know about it too, just because making that
Absolutely.
connection. I think there's so much that we can do on the support side, but one of our big roles as doulas is to help people find resources whenever they
Yes.
need them. So, really great resources there. How do you feel like doulas can advocate for clients within the social systems better?
I definitely would like to see more doulas, not broadcasted, but showcasing themselves more. I think getting themselves in the door of different providers, whether it's OB, midwife, et cetera, because that's where we're going to be looking to. Like we're going to be looking at on the provider level. So if the providers are linked to different doulas, that's a big step and a big help. Or organizations like Healthy Start and things like that. So they already get the screenings from the doctor's offices. So just incorporating those services within the whole system. It's kind of like trail riding them, one and the same.
And many of the Healthy Start programs are starting to have doula programs, which is
Yeah.
pretty exciting too. And so there's some, I think, handoff that can happen there.
Yes.
What would you say are the differences in doula support and then social work, mental health? If we needed to help people understand the different hats, how would you say they differ?
Okay. Okay, so kind of like so a doula is like your birthing coach or your postpartum coach, like in sense they're your hype man, and your doula could refer you for mental health because they see signs and symptoms. So as long as they have a screening tool, and it can be developed or it can be just standard, but if as long as they can screen or see that you might have a proclivity to develop these certain symptoms or whatnot, the licensed person can come in, or the master's level therapist could come in and do a formal assessment. As the licensed persons come in, they're more so going to build that rapport based off of the referral from the doula.
I was at a trainer event recently, and one of the speakers, her research and work is on the EDPS tool. And so she's developed, I don't know if you've seen the EDPS US one, but she's modified it just a little bit in order for it to handle some of the social situations that are happening and to be a little bit less, I think, a little bit easier to work with as a practitioner, and then a little bit easier on the family side as well. And we were having a discussion amongst trainers about scope of practice and
Mhm.
screening. And really, at the end of the day, screening is not a clinical assessment, it's just a screening.
Yeah.
And we really do actually need doulas to be more aware of what some of those yellow flags are and how to do a little bit of screening, not to diagnose and
Yeah.
not even really to assess, but to go, hey, this feels like a yellow flag to me. And then hand off to someone who has that master's level education and can
Yeah.
really take it from there. So we're starting to encourage doulas to become more familiar with the screening tool and not be
Mhm.
afraid to talk to the clients prenatally and postpartum, because they may be the only one that's talking to them during that
Yeah.
time.
I know, like, with my own third birth, I was stressed to the max, and my doula was on it. So I really appreciate her. I'm a very high functioning person. So I'm like, I'm going through all this stressful stuff, but I'm like, I'm just taking it one day at a time. Whatever happens, happens, that kind of thing. So I think her just being able to reel me in and say, okay, you're taking it one day at a time, but we're going to take it really one day at a time, because my mind goes a mile a minute. And I'm talking about all these different things. And she's like, you're telling me with your mouth that you're taking it one day at a time. I'm like, you're right. And I'm in therapy myself. So it's for everyone. And, even the functioning person. It's not above anyone to have a therapist and to be able to seek that help and that assistance through life obstacles.
Yeah, that is such a really important point, because even as doulas, sometimes maybe we don't think it will happen to us. I have a couple of doulas in my circles that they themselves even experienced all the way to psychosis, like truly
Yeah.
diagnosed postpartum psychosis. And you think, oh my goodness, they work with moms, babies, families, and it's not going to happen to them. But it doesn't discriminate.
Not at all.
Literally can happen to anyone hormonally. And that's why if we move that stigma off of it a little bit, talk about it as a normal, this can be a part of the process, and this is what we do if it does become a part of the process, I think is so important.
Yeah, on the path to getting my perinatal mental health certification, I believe is what it's called.
That's wonderful. And then you could also be listed on Postpartum Support International's directory, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, I'm so excited to hear about that work that you're doing. It's so needed. And
Yeah.
it sounds like you're specializing in, foster care, but then also this perinatal health crossover. It's needed in all the areas, really.
Yes. Like I said, with the birth parents, with the foster parents, and just kind of like ensuring that the disconnect is no longer existent.
So, do you have any advice or suggestions for maybe birth workers that want to cross over into social work, or social workers who want to cross over into birth work? What would you
The-
say for people that want to
the-
maybe do a little of both?
So the really cool thing about the PMHC program is that they actually will give the certification to doulas too. So you can be a doula and you can become a perinatal mental health person. So they'll train you on it. You take this $500 test and you have to do two different trainings, and then you can qualify to then take that test.
I did
Um,
not know that. I actually might be interested in that.
mhm. And you'll be listed on the website as and you'll get those skills that you need to have in order to assess, go from screening to assessing. Yeah.
Yeah. And really, as doulas, like we do with some of the other roles that we do, just put on our different hat when the hat is
Mhm.
needed and just make sure the client knows. I think you can do, different things. You just need to make sure the client's aware of which hat you're wearing when you're wearing it. Do you happen to know the organization that does that training?
There's a number of organizations that you can go under. You just have to make sure that it's categorized under the right like section. Like you have to do this kind of training, like mood and anxiety disorder training, and then you have to do another kind of training. I can't remember what the subcategories are, but as long as you fulfill the two, then you get to move forward. But one of the organizations is MIMH. No idea what it stands for, but I get a lot of emails from them, and I was going to do one of their trainings. But the trainings are, I'm not going to say expensive because that's subjective, but the trainings cost as well. So
They're an investment, right?
yeah, yeah, it's definitely an investment. But now that I'm licensed, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do that part now.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to finish it. And hopefully this year I'll be on there.
It sounds like you're kind of like me, a lifelong learner.
Hmm.
Just more when you learn some, you want to learn a little more and get
I said,
another
yep,
certification.
yep. I said I'm putting the entire alphabet behind my name if I need to. So I'm gonna actually an adoption competent therapist because even with adoption, you know that child trauma doesn't start at removal. It's like child trauma can happen in the womb. So with that, like we're training adoptive parents, on that because sometimes a person will adopt a child out of foster care or just adopt them from birth and think that, okay, I've had them all their life, but they're not accounting for the 9 months that they spent in their biological mom's womb. Um, and when they start having expressions of trauma, then they're like, well, what happened? Because I raised this child. This is my child.
Yeah. And that baby might have been exposed to high levels of cortisol or
Mhm.
adrenaline. Babies can hear. So if there
Yeah,
was any kind of aggression or fighting or things like that that might have been happening, yeah, absolutely. I think it
yeah,
makes sense in the trauma piece that babies
yeah.
might really come out of the womb with a little bit of
Trauma. Yeah,
trauma. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a really interesting thought. So tell me about your plans moving forward work-wise. So I know you're working kind of with your foster families and training. And then do you hope to still do some doula work on the side, or what does that look like for you?
Yes, I was actually positioned to hopefully go through the process with Healthy Start and their doula program. So hopefully we'll do that, take on clients. But in the long term future, I'm hoping to have my own practice that is geared towards the fourth trimester and just having that recovery space for those that lack support or lack the skills or the tools needed to flourish in their parenting or flourish in their birthing experience as they wait or even as they try to conceive. So, like, not just focusing on the babies that are here, but the babies that might not have made it or that made it and passed on.
So it just sounds like you're going to be evolving as you grow and as
Yes.
opportunities come up and keep working. And what a cool way to put all of your skills to work at the same time.
Yeah. I got my kids involved too. So I've started having kids at home now because my first experience wasn't the greatest. It wasn't horrible, but it just wasn't the greatest. Um, so my last two were awesome. And I said, I'm going to have another one just because they got no footage of my last one. I'm like, how did you guys forget?
Oh,
Like,
no.
if this was a boy, we would have been having a problem because I spent the whole pregnancy not knowing if the baby was a boy or a girl. And then no one took the camera out, but I have really precipitous labors. So I had her and like everybody got here at 7:02. I had her at 7:56. So I was like, I guess there's no time to pull the camera out, but y'all know I wanted that camera.
I remember watching a little bit on social media what you would post around the time you were due. And then I remember it finding a post like right after you had your last baby. And in my mind, I was like, that must have been fast because it seemed fast, just in the way that, you had posted before, kind of still waiting on baby. And then baby was here.
Yep. It was fast. It was very fast. All of them have been fast, about an hour long.
Was that an hour from like your first sign, or would you say
um,
just an hour of like the
like
intensity?
with Raina, I went to the hospital at 3. I had her at 5:39. With Amora, I called the midwife at 11:15. I had her at 12:20. And then this baby, I called them at 6:30 and I had her at 7:56. So I guess an hour from active labor.
From when you really knew it was
Mhm.
happening. Yeah. I bet they had to put their running shoes on.
Yeah, she was like, my water had broken actually the night before with my last one, and then it didn't pick up. But I was pumping my breast to try to make myself go into labor. So I was like, okay, come on, girl or boy.
Hmm.
So, and when I was pumping, it broke my water, and then my labor started that morning.
Yeah. And now you're 12 weeks postpartum, feeling good?
hmm I've been feeling good since like probably like 6 weeks ago. Like I've been feeling great. Like
That's
I'm like, okay, now I can do all the things that I need to do. I'm about to have this great position. I'm about to do all these other things. So I've actually been applying to see if I wanted to do a part-time, like therapy position with other agencies. And it's the imposter syndrome. That's something I would say to people, like just the imposter syndrome that comes about whenever you're doing anything as a doula, as a therapist, whatever the case may be. Don't let your mind tell you that you can't do what you were trained to do, or that that you can do, because a lot of times that's my problem. It's like I know the things that I know, but I question myself. I slow drag myself instead of stepping out on faith and just doing it. So I've been applying to these jobs, and I've gotten them, and I've not gotten them too. But for the most part, I'll get the job, and then I'm just like, "Ugh, they're not going to pay me well. I could literally go do work for myself and make the money that I would be making for them, that they only want to give me a percentage of." So just don't shortchange yourself, and don't doubt yourself and your abilities. If you do the work, you do the training, you go to school, you get that degree, you get that license, invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Power pose.
Yes.
Put your shoulders back, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a really good place for us to end today. I think you have
Absolutely.
brought
Thank
some
you.
really amazing wisdom to just the work you're doing, and you're doing such amazing things in your household with your family, and then also outside with just the community. So I love everything you're doing, and I hope coming back to work is really smooth for you, and
Yes.
I hope those babies don't give you a hard time. Even sweet little Raina.
Oh, wow. Thank
Okay,
you.
where can people find you?
So right now I'm on social media, but as Keena Armstrong, or Keena Honey Bina on most things. And I'm an open book, so Melissa can tell you. And I am going to be starting my LLC very soon. So to be announced.
Wonderful. So we'll be watching and cheering for you.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Bye.